is a 1995 ELSA. She is an independent filmmaker, a co-founder of Rangraze Media, and an award-winning director with a keen eye for human stories. She has award-winning documentaries to her credit, some of which include Lady Special and the Saroj Khan story. Please do go and see it if you haven't. Nidhi has written and directed shows including The Great Escape on Netflix, which is a two-part film on the Dalai Lama and his escape from Tibet to India, something that Nidhi is very proud of. She is also writing credits on two released feature films, Josh in the year 2000 and Kuch Na Kaho in 2003. So Nidhi, over to you for this wonderful session.
That just sounds like 20 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really, really glad to be a part of this. And there are these wonderful, wonderful ladies that I'm going to be chatting with, and that makes me very, very excited already. So we have today Anuradha Tiwari, who's a writer, director, but I'm concentrating more on her fabulous writing profile today. We also have Rucha Pathak, who's a producer. And we have Kanupriya Shankar Pandit, who's an actor. We have Nupur Asthana, who's a writer-director, and I'm going to concentrate on her direction bit. And we have Shruti Mahajan, who's a casting director. So these fabulous, fabulous ladies are here today, and we're going to start a conversation with them. So I'm going to start with Anuradha Tiwari, and just a little bit about her first. That when I said that I'm going to concentrate on the part that she's somebody who's kind of really championed the screenwriting space, whether it's for television, whether it's for web series, whether it's for films. She's got some award-winning films to her credit and some great television shows. And now she's mentoring, and she has a writing room called Kosun Rofu. Am I pronouncing that correct, Anuradha?
Kosun Rofu, yes.
Kosun Rofu. And where she works with a lot of interesting writers that she mentors herself, and they together write shows, and they write for web series and television and whatever they like to do.
Films, yeah.
So Anuradha, I'm going to ask you first is when did you first feel when you left LSR? I'm going to come to LSR a little later.
Sure.
And you took your first steps, and that's when you realized that this is what I want to do. This is what gives me the happiness, or this is where I want to be. Take us through those steps.
Okay, Nidhi, firstly, thank you so much for this glorious introduction. This feels, we are on many webinars many times, but it feels so special to be introduced like this to our own community, through you. And right off the bat, let me just tell you, and I've said this many times before, but I'm going to do this in person now. I credit this knowing and feeling right here to Nupur Asthana, first and foremost, and then to as much as Rucha Pathak. Because, when I was at LSR, I joined thinking I was either going to be an IAS or IFS, like all UP girls and, Velamite and all of that. And then somewhere, you've all seen it. I just drifted so much more into just social participation. I was, the president of Students Union and all of that. So by third year, I really didn't have an idea of what do I want to do. And they were my friends. Nupur was not only our, of course, friend, but also our director of plays and stuff like that. And, there was another gang of people. There was Hansa and, Tani and lots of other friends. Rucha was part of that. She was the Daisy. We were all the hustlers. Of course, so was Nupur. And everyone was going for Mascom, and like Jamia was the thing. So I said, since I don't know anything else, so peer pressure, yaar, sab log yahan ja rahe, main bhi jati hu. So it was really just that. It was totally, adrift and peer pressure. So I just signed up for whatever it is that they were doing. The only difference was that everybody also had signed up for Bombay, but I hadn't because that was not my option, for my infrastructure, that was not. So really, my only option was Jamia and maybe IMC. So that's it. I went and appeared for the exam, and there I was. And it's silly today, but it's true that it's only in second year when we had made our first film and written and directed, I said, I can be a filmmaker. Achha, main ye karne aayi hu. So it was as late as I was the ripe old age of 22 that I discovered my path, so to say. But I totally credit it to Nupur Asthana first, followed by Rucha and everybody else, who just with their collective feminine energy just, took me there. Yeah. I also, by the way, stayed with Nupur Asthana at that time. So the gratitude will always remain lifelong, really. So, yes. To all of LSR, thank you, Nupur Asthana.
That is fabulous. Now, this kind of leads me to Nupur Asthana, though I had planned to go to Kanu next, but this kind of leads me there. So I just have to go to Nupur Asthana at this point because they're from the same batch. And Nupur's done some fabulous work on television, on web, and in films as well. You probably know some of her series. She's done Hip Hip Hooray, Mahi Ve, Hoobahu. Then her films were Mujhse Friendship Karoge, Bewakufiyan. Then she's done some fabulous work on the web, Romil and Jugal, and most recently, Four More Shots Please, Season 2. She's the director of Season 2. So, Nupur, now it's your turn. The mic is yours. And we've already heard a little bit about yourself inadvertently from Anuradha Tiwari. So now you'll have to tell us. You'll have to take this story forward and tell us, were you always sure that this is what you wanted to do?
So, I mean, I'll just take the story back a little further. Like when we were 10 and 12 years old in our building, we used to take all the Grimm's fairy tales and we used to enact them for parents on the terrace of our building. And I invariably used to end up putting them together, putting the plays together and playing strange roles, playing the part of the evil witch or Rumpelstiltskin, never the princess, never the prince, but all those other more interesting characters. That kind of interest kind of led to directing in school and college as well. And I, all through my 11th, 12th, all 3 years of college, I was directing plays and acting in some as well. And I kind of, by the time I was in college, I kind of knew I wanted to be a director. I wasn't sure whether it was just going to be stage or it was going to be bigger. But I think that interest just kind of expanded into cinema because, I mean, since childhood, I grew up in Kolkata. We were always watching Satyajit Ray's as commercial cinema in a sense. It was never independent cinema. I mean, he was as mainstream as it got in Kolkata, and watching with my aunts, going to watch French films here and there. So that there was a huge interest, and that interest in directing plays kind of expanded into directing cinema. But at that time, my parents didn't want me to go to a film. So, filmmaker, ye kya career option hai? I'm talking about 92 when we passed out. Film industry is only full of drugs and divorces. That's what my dad used to say. So I had to kind of, work my way through how I was going to do it. And, I chose Bombay really because of that, so that there would be less parental control. And therefore, I chose Sophia, where actually it was six of our classmates from LSR went directly there to study mass comm. And that's how the journey began. I mean, that's where I knew kind of I wanted to make films. Or ye bhi tha, we had a director who came from an American director who came to direct a play called Steel Magnolias that we all had something to do with. Everybody from my batch and one batch upar niche, everyone, Rucha, Tiwari, we've all been a part of that in some way or the other, backstage or on stage. And she said that, she said something that stayed with me for a while. She said, you could be an actor as well, but you have to know there's no money in theater. I was like, yaar, kaise rahenge paise? I didn't think of acting in films. It was always acting in theater or directing films. It was always that kind of option. So anyway, I made my choice. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rucha, now this comes to you very naturally. But you chose to be a producer, or did you think about being a producer? Now let me introduce Rucha first. She's done fabulous work as a producer. She's got some great films like Barfi, ABCD, Pan Singh Tomar, Chiller Party, No One Killed Jessica, Dev D, Welcome to Sajjanpur. And then when she joined Fox Star Studios, she helmed Nirja, the multi-award-winning Nirja, Jolly LLB. She even creatively produced the second part of that. And then Filauri, The Gentleman, The Zoya Factor. And now she's looking forward to the release of Loot Case and Dil Bechara on the OTT platforms. And she's also moved to Excel now, where she's going to continue producing and putting these wonderful projects together. So Rucha, this is, like I still understand that once we are in college or whatever, we write and we direct. And how does one become a producer? Tell us that.
Thanks for the intro, and lovely to be here. Actually, I had no idea I was going to be a producer. In LSR, I was I liked being a part of plays and stuff like that. I liked playing sports, and I wasn't really into studies so much either. And I thought I would be an actor. And in fact, Nupur had directed me in a play. And I have to tell you this story because it's been my childhood thing that, I mean, this is the perfect platform actually to say it on. But yeah, I was in a play, and Nupur directed me, and I got nominated for Best Actress in that year. But there was another really wonderful actor called Mona Zeba Hussain. Uh,
Yeah.
oh my God, she put on a show and it was, and I lost out to her, and I was so pissed off that I did not win that award. I was like, what? And because I thought I was like a good actor or whatever, and then I stopped acting from that
Yes.
time. I was like, this, that's it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to do this. And I really wanted to get out of Delhi. I didn't care what, I know Tiwari saying that she followed me thinking a little bit about, I knew
Good
what
report to
I
come,
had
yeah.
no clue. Yeah. I had no clue what I was doing. I knew that I did feel I wanted to do communications. I did feel that I wanted to be a journalist at one level because I felt that there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to say and talk about. And the feeling was I want to shout out, from the top of the rooftop. That's what I really want. I want to really just get across stuff. I felt that I was being very stifled in Delhi. So I came to Bombay just trying to figure communications. I actually also got into Jamia, but because I didn't want to stay in Delhi, I just I lied to my parents and said that I didn't get into Jamia, I got into Sophia. So I went off to Sophia, but I really wanted to be in Bombay. I felt it was safer somehow also for women, for single women to be working there. I mean, the, like Nupur pointed out, parental control, especially in terms of safety in Delhi, was like a little bit crazy. Um, but I still didn't know that I wanted to be a producer when I was at Sophia's. Actually, that came much later. I discovered video in Sophia's. I realized that I don't want to be a journalist. I actually wanna do something with video. So that was for me a great revelation. The fact that I really enjoyed the video aspect of it, and creating short films and AVs and radio stuff and all of that. So producing came to me much later when after I was directing at Plus Channel. I was doing game shows, non-fiction shows, and everything. But I realized there that I really liked putting people together. I really liked getting ideas together. And I felt that that was a better way of me trying to say something. Producing stuff was a much better way of saying something than somehow directing and writing for me. That is, and also the other thing that was interesting was that uh, it wasn't necessarily that it had to be uh, fiction, and at that time movies weren't something. I know that Nupur was assisting a director. She was assisting Ketan Mehta at that time, and I kind of got into like a I got into working for companies, or rather production companies, and got into working with studios after that. So that was the route that I took into filmmaking, not through the director, but through executive producing features. So that was a different way. I think my journey was a little different. We've met up in Bombay again in the film industry, where she's a director and Tiwari's a writer and director and everything. But we've come to the same place, but from different angles. So I did, though I have to say this, that I did take some time out. I took out about 6 months in the middle trying to figure, should I be a director or should I be a producer? And then I was assisting Abhinay Deo on ad films for a bit, and I realized, oh my God, I do not want to do ad films. Like, I don't want to be anywhere close to ad films at all. So I ran from there. So my first internship, of course, was with Ram Madhwani, and I could not. I could not. Again, over there, my relationship with ad films was not great. And then again, when I tried it with Abhinay Deo, it still wasn't working. So that's how I got into uh, producing. Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting you say Ram Advani and then you went back and worked with him on Nirja, like a whole, I don't know how many years later.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so I'll come back to you, Rucha, in a bit, and I'll go to Kanupriya Shankar now. Kanupriya was a year senior to me in college, and we did a lot of theatre together, Kanu and I. And Kanu stuck to her love for acting and, of course, theatre as well, because she's not only a theatre actor, she's a theatre activist as well. And she does Hindi and Maithili theatre. She's done theatre at LSR, at NSD, at Shri Center, at Bharat Bhavan. And interestingly, she says at construction sites, at parks, remand homes, orphanages, and her own neighborhood. That's really interesting, Kanu. So we'd like to know from you your first steps and how has it been for you?
Yeah, actually, I'll come to Mumbai a little later. For me, theatre started when I was about 6 years old. So my parents are professors and civil servants, but they're basically artists at heart. So they gave this opportunity to all siblings of mine, but I guess I was the artistic one. So I was in the Bal Rang Mandal Patna where I acted and I was a part of workshops. So it was like for me, there was radio. I'm sure a lot of people might have done Lucknow and Allahabad. There was a lot of all India radio stuff happening. So I've done a lot of radio and theatre, and I'm also a dancer. So there was a time when third, fourth, fifth, sixth, that age group, I was doing a lot of music and dance and theatre, which was like Hindi and Maithili primarily. In school, it would be English. And then, of course, when we went to LSR, it was crazy. I mean, the dramatic society. I remember Nidhi and I used to work together. Even when I was in the first year, and I used to look up to the third year people. You may not be knowing me, HT and Rucha and Nupur, but I know you people. And thank you so much actually for having me on a panel where I'm seeing people like you, because for me, you people, I used to look up to you. And I was always the kind, I'm honestly not an actor. Even today, I'm the kind of actor who would take the file and who would keep the script of some other play or some other story or some other novel ready for my next project. Uh, if I have to satisfy myself as an actor, I don't solely depend on work given to me by someone. I normally find my own work, in the sense I find my own performances. Either I direct them, I have people with me, or I do it myself. And the other passion that I have been trying to pull off, I've been pulling it off in the past 20 years that since I've been in Mumbai. I have two girls. I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old. I have two daughters. So together with them, I have done a lot of theatre. When they were in carry courts, I would take them to various BMC schools or a construction site or a road. Or I used to, ask any neighborhood uncle if I can use this park. So this is the kind of, I would say, I was waiting for my girls to grow up so that I could leave them somewhere and then start acting, because I didn't want to, I wanted to balance basically, and that's what they are like in the right phase of their life, and I'm acting now. So I would say the kind of theatre that I have done वो मेरे लिए तैयारी हो गई. So training with this kind of little bit of work that I have constantly done was my tayari for what I'm doing right now. And honestly, LSR has produced some amazing actresses. I mean, we have a list. My contemporaries, seniors. So I was asking Jesu, please don't call me an actress. Don't put me on the... There are so many such popular actresses from LSR who are doing such good work. They said, just shut up. Okay, because we want someone who is, also doing theatre and treating this as something which is not just being there on screen, but just it being a part of my life completely.
Oh, great, Kanu. So, Shruti, now
Hi.
to you. Shruti is the youngest in this lovely panel of ladies. She is a graduate from 2002, and she is a casting director. Now, how did that happen? First, let me tell everybody, you've cast for some fascinating films, like Ram Leela, which was your first independent casting job, Lipstick Under My Burqa, Finding Fanny, Parmanu, Padman, Padmavat, and most recently, Good News. That is a fabulous lineup, Shruti. And what
Nirja
were your
also,
first steps? Sorry?
Nirja also, right? Shruti, you did Nirja also. You did Nirja also.
I did Zoya Factor.
Oh,
Zoya.
Zoya Factor, sorry.
Yeah, I did Zoya Factor.
Okay.
So thanks, Nidhi. Thanks. But for me, I'd never planned to be a casting director. In fact, I never planned what I wanted to be in life. In my growing up years, I'd never heard of a casting director. Till today, there is no course which teaches you how to be a casting director. So what I knew was what I didn't want to be in life. So I knew that I'm good in drama, but I don't want to be an actor. And I learned dancing, but I did not want to be a professional dancer. Also, I knew that I'm a very people's person. I enjoy being with people. I get along with people. And I mean, that is my forte. So I guess naturally it came to me to be an MBA student and take up HR as specialization. I worked with the corporates. I became a headhunter. But it's for me, I would say my start journey began once I got married. I got married, I moved to Bombay, and my husband, the filmmaker, and he introduced me to this world of his friends. And every time I met them, I felt so comfortable. I felt I belonged to that world. There was access to scripts coming home, there were movie watching, there were discussions, creative discussions, and lots of, I mean, everything happened to me in those years. And every time I read a script, I think naturally it came to me while reading a script. I would focus on putting faces to those characters. Maybe because of my HR background, maybe because of my drama, all of it. I think all of it. My focus would always be on seeing faces on those characters. And then I got pregnant and I took a 3 year break. And I guess that 3 year break brought in a lot of clarity in my life. I took that pause and I figured out what I really want to be. And the natural thing that came to me was that I wanted to be a filmmaker and I did not want to go back to the corporate world. So I guess for me, those 3 years were very crucial when I took that pause and I was ready to refresh and restart my life. And that restart was becoming an assistant with YRF. There was opening for casting, and I applied for it, and that's where my journey began.
Okay, so you applied to a casting to be an assistant person first, and
Yes,
that's
yes, because there is no other way to learn casting. There is no other way to other than going on the field, understanding how to. I didn't even know how to pick up a camera. So it's
true.
only that 1 year commitment. And I think at that point of time, YRF was doing some really great stuff. There was so much of learning, so much happening. I did 7 films in a year as a casting assistant. So I
Wow.
learned a lot. I learned a lot there. And I mean, I took like fish to water.
So, Shruti, now that I'm speaking to you right now, tell me, what do you find magical about your work? Tell me any magical moment or anything that you've seen that you thought that this is magic and that's why this is what keeps me here. What would that be?
Every time I pick up a script, a new script, it's so magical turning those pages. I still prefer having a hard copy than on my mailbox. But for me as a casting director, what is really magical is when I think of a character out of the box. Every time I am able to tell my director that I have seen a character in a particular way which my director might not have visualized. So that is very magical for me. I feel I'm a super specialist. My job is my director comes to me and says कि ये script ये करो. So for me, I am that person who will कि अच्छा now you have visualized it this way. Let's think a little different and why not try something different? Like for example, my first film where I thought of Supriya Pathak Shah. I mean, nobody at that point of time, nobody ever visualized her playing a ruthless mother. And when I gave that option, SLB was quite taken aback. Like, "Nahi, but she's always been her persona is such where she's so bubbly, cheerful. How will she be able to play a dhankoba?" But then I auditioned her, and at that moment, during the audition itself, I realized that it's some magic was taking place. And then you see her. I mean, she's there doing. She played that character, and even till today, every time I meet Supriya ji, she hugs me and she tells me, "मेरे लिए वैसा character लाना, मेरे को दूसरी धनकोर बार बनाना." So for me, that is magical.
That's true. That does. And rather, since you popped up on my screen right now, the question moves to you. I would like to know, what keeps you there? What is that keeps you doing what you're doing? And sometimes when you're working on something or you've worked on something and you've seen it translate on screen, and have you felt something in your heart and you felt a flutter and you felt that yes, this is the magic I was after and this is it.
The word magic itself, Nidhi, it's such a potent word, such a potent question, and it's like, triggering me in so many dimensions. So let me try and structure my answer. One part of it is the fact that, in the last 4 or 5 years, I've also sort of opened up, my horizons. I've broadened them. I've been exploring. So I've been studying psychotherapy. I've also been psychic for a while. So I'm actually exploring that. So when you use the word magic, it's kind of real in my life. And what's amazing is that at this juncture, I'm able to amalgamate all that. So I feel like, when work, when you pour that magic that you feel as soul alchemy into your work, then that magic is so potent because it's not only emanating to the universe, to the world, but it's also gratifying you, it's mirroring back to you. So just to let you know that first, that magic is actually live, real, tangible, and I'm living it on a daily basis. And I find that little things. But to give you a lot more and a less transcendental answer to that. So when we started, and even when I'm mentoring my writers right now, every once in a while I say, हम लोग किसी की जिंदगी नहीं बचा रहे हैं, तो chill. We're not doing some life and death kind of situation. But there have been a few moments when that has happened in a very tertiary way. So let me talk about a little bit of the lesser known work of mine. So long ago, 20 years ago, I was directing a show called Kiran Kher Today. That basically had Kiran Kher as the anchor. And we had different, all kinds of topics, which at that time were very out of the box, like, polygamy, somebody married to two wives, or, eunuchs and things like that, which is, or euthanasia, big deal. So we had something else. We had a topic on euthanasia, and we had an oncologist. And we were talking about the right to take somebody's life away, etc. And, and that time people still wrote letters. It was still snail mail time. And I remember just after, and it was on Star Plus, and after that, there was a patient from Pakistan who wrote to us about that oncologist. And we connected them, and I know that life got saved. And I don't remember who that doctor was. I don't remember who that person was. But till today, I get goosebumps that nahi, waqai zindagi bachai. So for me, that's magic. I've also had people get married on my stage, in the sense that they came out to their parents saying, "Yaar, humko shadi karni hai." So, it was kind of semi-planned. So I put the parents under, do you agree? So they said, it's now in front of 56 countries, we have no option. So, today their children call me as judge to their, whatever dramatic option. So, I see life as a full circle rather than, ye film bani, nahi bani, etc. The second tangible one I want to tell you is this I feel very strongly as a writer, and perhaps other questions are answered differently. I do feel, particularly as a writer, and it comes in different arts, that, when you sit alone, mostly I do that in the middle of the night, on your laptop, it's a very solitary job. It's meditative. It's a solitary meditation. And there is a part of, my heart, my soul, it's cathartic. I'm pouring something of mine out there. It's my own healing. And that traverses through literally thousands of people to get made into a product, a film, a web show, whatever. And then it translates to the viewer who's watching. And I know that there is some magic there that translates my emotion to that viewer ultimately. And there is a healing that happens there. So for example, just to give you an example, I have an ex-boss of mine who I didn't get along with about 20 years ago, who recently we caught up and we're actually working together, so healing like that. And he said when he watched my film Jail, which is my lesser known work, he actually got healed of his fear of jails. And I said, oh my God, that's what I put in there, because I researched jails. I went to 3 jails myself, Yerwada, Thane, Arthur Road. And I stood there, looking at, sorry, dregs of humanity, and feeling like, you know, I, I can't face this. And then I did. So it was my compassion for that moment that I poured into the script, and it somehow traversed through everything that filmmaking can kill in a script, and it reached him, and it actually, healed him, and that's what he kept quoting from 10 years ago. So these are my moments of magic, that there is a whole, quantum healing that goes on from, well, my heart, my mind, to millions of people out there through dimensions, and this is going to be lifelong, therefore.
So you think you're able to guide new nervous writers well, and because you've now you know that what really matters.
Firstly, let me tell you, they're not nervous at all. They can make me very nervous. They're just they're overconfident, if anything else. But so yeah, I think it's nice for me to do this today, because it is a bit like parenting, because I'm working with a lot of the millennial crowd. And I think, yeah, what's nice is that I see the spark. And yes, of course, it requires a certain level of maturity, both age and soul wise, to be able to say, okay, I see the spark and I'll nurture it rather than competing with it, or, stubbing it, because it's not developed. It takes, I think, I would call myself, therefore, a story surgeon and a nurturer. So when you step in as a surgeon to say, okay, this is not working and I set it right, or as a nurturer to say, okay, I see the spark, but this is how you should develop. So it's up to the person then to take how I'm nurturing them. So, I'm a bit of a Zen master that way. I'm throwing it out there. You receive it the way you want. Some have gone back home saying, okay, we get the point, it's very tough. You know? Some who really received it, and some I say that, look, your journey with me is over. Now either you're going to be independent or assisting someone else. But really, it's a pool of magic that we share every day in our writers' room, and this is the kind of energy that one emanates. Yeah, I hope that answered what you were looking for.
Yes. So Kanu, I'm coming to you now, because as a writer, it's, you're always craving for that right script, for that right part, for that, the performance to give you that satisfaction of having created some magic. So tell me, how has it been? How has the magical part been for you? What keeps you there?
Yeah, as an actor, because I read a lot, हिंदी पे ही ज़्यादा काम करती हूँ, तो literature, I'm also हिंदी literature student, तो उसमें से तो निकल जाता है. लेकिन the other aspect where I have worked a lot with children, as you know, Nidhi, there have been times when children at times can be very ruthless. They have their own, उनका अपना bossism हो सकता है. They are also, the way mothers train, कुछ ऐसी बातें बोल जाते हैं competitive behavior. I'm talking about 10 to 15 years back. तो एक छोटा सा, quickly I'll tell you an incident. I was taking this workshop in the building that I was living in, and this workshop was supposed to culminate into a play. So there were about 25, 30 kids, and I would take my girls down to play, and the kids would play, and there was one particular kid who was 16 and who had Down syndrome, I could see from his face, and he would just stand beside his very, very bitter mother. She was a Catholic lady. I still remember Mary. She was very, very bitter, and nobody would play with Robin. So this was, of course, pinching me, because not that I have read child psychology or anything, but maybe the kind of work that I have done. So I called her that evening and I told her that I'm doing this workshop. If you could send Robin. So she actually started crying on phone. And she said, nobody in the building has ever asked me this, because nobody plays with Robin. Are you sure? Because there'll be other kids from the same building. I said, you send, let me see. So I prepared Kavya, my older one. I said, Robin bhaiya aayenge, be nice to him. So yeah, everybody was quiet. Nobody noticed him, nothing. Robin left. He was very sweet. He was no damage, nothing. So later, the next day, I told the team that Robin is acting with us, because I could feel a sense of rhythm and stuff like that. And nobody had a choice. We had started the rehearsal. After 2 days, I remember the same playground. I saw those about at least 10 to 15 boys and girls doing high fives with Robin and playing with them. Robin playing with them, and Mary actually hugged me, and she said, so that day was like, and I haven't done anything, but ये तो theatre का magic है.
So
एक्चुअली किसी भी
lovely.
तरह के स्पोर्ट का या जो भी, बट दैट गाय, एंड बाद में मैं देखती थी एंड काव्या पुल्ड मी, Robin Bhaiya is playing with everyone, and he was actually a special child, but he was a very sweet kid. So इस तरह के फिर कई incidences हुए, and as an actor so definitely, but then for me today this is my magic moment.
Yes, it is. It is indeed very magical. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, Rucha, tell me something about the magic that comes in your work when you put projects together or you give. I remember one time I was seeing, I don't know why that came to me just now. I was watching an awards function and somebody won an award. I think it was for Welcome to Sajjanpur or something. And then he said, first thing he said, "वो रुचा ने रुचि दिखाई और ये हुआ." And somehow that line just stayed with me because I was like, wow. So she must have pushed this project because it was such a fun film, that one. And
Yeah.
so this so tell me something about the magic that you have. This is a magic I remember for you, but tell me something else that you might want to at this point.
Well, I think there was a time in my life where I mean, it's taken me a little time to figure why I do like making movies. Um, because I didn't start off in movies. There was no, I mean, the movies weren't really organized in the earlier days when at least when we joined for producers. For there was no one couldn't find one couldn't meet too many writers. They weren't writing. There wasn't a system for writing. There were no bound scripts. I know it feels really weird, but there wasn't that kind of system earlier. So that came a little later. But I just felt that I really like being able to see other people's lives through movies. I like exploring real characters. I like that there is a world outside that is outside of your own world, that that you can explore. And I think that comes from possibly this thing that it's some kind of empathy. I feel that that has suddenly been built. It's very difficult to put into words, but if you take an example of Welcome to Sajjanpur, for instance, it came at a time. It first of all, of course, Sham Benegal, who I really wanted to work with, and that was like a brilliant opportunity. But that script, when Ashok Mishra, who's like a really who's like, I think, a Sahitya Academy Award winner at one level, when he narrated the script to me, I was blown, because the language was so beautiful. The thought of it was so beautiful. Plus, it was a story coming from like a small from a village, and it was really very rooted. So, and plus, the most important thing, it was actually very it was funny. And I felt that a message can really go out with this kind of a film. So I found myself going closer towards films or scripts that have something more to say than just being entertaining. Although I have to say, sometimes in a studio, when one works in a studio, you have to do all kinds of films. So that I have done all kinds of films. But I think the magic really is in putting. I like putting people together. I like having thoughts that people want to. I like actually working with directors who have a vision, and who want to say something, um, and getting like a whole bunch of people to take a script that everybody really likes, and working towards that one thought or one vision, or when you see it on the big screen, or when you see it on your TV screens, is just I guess that's the magic. It's difficult to put into words, really. Honestly speaking. Yeah.
Nupur, um, a lot of your work is a lot of with young people. It's about young people. people. It's always been, I think right from the time you started, when I look at your filmography, there's a lot of work that you do with younger people. Is that where you find your magic?
Uh, Nidhi, like if for me the magic really is, I mean, of course, I'm a storyteller, and if I wasn't directing, I don't know what else I would be doing. So for me, when I walk onto a set, that is such a huge high for me. I cannot describe it in words. For me, the magic comes in various little things, like if I'm trying to chisel the performance of an actor take after take, and I get that honesty and the truth that I'm going for in that moment of the line or the scene or the character, for me that is that, I feel that thing, just going boom, inside me, that oh my god, yes, that's magic. Or if when I'm editing, if there's something that I've been chiseling a scene, and and it comes together beautifully the way I intended it, or suddenly there's a surprise for me while I'm doing my work, while I'm crafting it. I mean, those are all moments of magic for me. And like you said, I mean, a lot of my work has been with kids, and I think that somewhere in all my work I'm always trying to, for me, that search for self, trying to find yourself and acceptance. I think these two things have found a lot of voice in my work. And I kind of, whatever the story is, that is the aspect that I kind of, when I'm breaking my script down into what is the story that I'm trying to tell, which is again another magical moment for me, because there are tons and tons of themes within a script. It starts with the one line, but then it develops into a whole bunch of things. And then when I'm breaking it down for myself, like, what am I trying to say through this? I always find those two angles of those perspectives of that searching, this character trying to find him or herself, or some kind of acceptance, either from oneself or from life or the universe or people around, all of the, so these kind of things, when I'm dealing with them, every day, I can't say there's a single, and there's a single moment of magic. I mean, there are millions and millions of little magical particles that come together with collaboration of dream teams to actually take life on screen. And when that kind of gets validated by the audiences, it just feels like, wow, incredible. And when that is not accepted, because I've been on both sides, when there was a film of mine that didn't get love from the audience or the critics, and I felt so deeply hurt कि मेरे बच्चे को किसी ने बोला कि ये तो ugly है, and then I went back to see the film to see what was the magic, what was I trying to do, and then I feel, and I'm rediscovering things within that piece of work as well, because it's very easy to take something that is done well, been liked, and say, oh, ye tha wo tha. But something, there's something that pulled you to that thing, to that piece of work, to actually tell that story. And what was that magic in? So like I said, there's no one big thing, but there are all these miniature particles of magic that keep floating through the process of directing for me, in a sense, and the collaborations. I mean, the collaborations with the team. Yeah.
Okay, so now, since I'm talking to you, I'll go on to the next thing, because it's connected to what you're saying right now. That, tell me, finally, at the end of it, now you're somewhere in your career. You've been working for quite some time. It's not a very easy industry, that we all know. We all know it's quite hard. I'm not even getting the woman and man aspect into this, because that's another discussion. But finally, at the end of it, what is it that really matters to you? What matters to you about your job? What matters to you about what you're trying to create? What matters to you the most?
Like you said, it's such a tough industry to first break that door open. We'll always be outsiders. We were not born in this industry and all of that. And when I started out as a director, I was the only woman on set with the actress and the hairdresser. So I came from there, and then I've seen the journey to the point where most of my HODs and assistants are all women. So, I mean, there's been a sea change. So I won't go into that. Like you said, it's a different discussion. But I think that what makes it relevant and what makes it great is the fact that, there's a sense of, I won't use the word power, because that's a slightly, it's reductive in a sense, but but perhaps it's within you, as you kind of grow as a filmmaker. For me, I'll talk about it because as a director, as you kind of find your voice and you keep honing your craft and all of that, the ability to be able to tell different kind of stories that are in your head. एक तो होती है जो मुझे कहानी बनानी है, और एक होता है जो producer green light करेगा. The money, the person who's going to put in the money. There's always a dichotomy somewhere. But as a director, you need to find that point where both can marry, right? And I think from Nidhi's expression, I'm losing track of her question, but I will try to quickly.
What matters to you the most?
Being able to tell my story, being able to tell my stories the way I want to tell them without being told, ye yaar, ye nikal do, ye kar do. And because I realized that from my first work, I work best when I'm left alone. And I was very, very grateful that I had a producer, a woman called Zarina Mehta, who gave me my first break at UTV, actually where Rucha went on to work later. And that kind of freedom we kind of lost in the middle, in the middle of and now it's kind of come back. So I'm saying it's a journey, I think, that every filmmaker needs to go through, because that only makes you tougher, stronger, and all that, like who said that, take your broken heart and make it into art, and who said that? Meryl Streep said that, right? So what I'm saying is that all the angst that you go through, that shit, this script didn't get greenlit, and shit, I was trying to say that, but that didn't come out, and all of those things, when you put them together, and today when I can actually tell the stories I want to tell, and be at the other side of the table, with slightly more bargaining power than perhaps in the middle of my career, it feels nice. It feels nice, and yes, I can find my own voice again, and I can say the things that I want to say. For me, that is the most important thing, to be able to tell the stories I want to tell.
That's good. I hope you're able to tell all the stories you want to tell, and I'll come back to something else a little later. Kanu, tell me what matters to you the most, and of course, your story about Robin was something that really makes me realize to quite some extent what matters to you and why this is important to you. But if there's anything else that you would like to say, that what really matters to you about your work and being here, being right now there in the film industry, in the television industry, in the theatre industry, what really matters to you?
What matters to me is basically doing, constantly doing and empowering yourself, in the sense that there are certain things you do definitely for money, and you empower yourself and do something that leads to something which is slightly something that somebody needs. Maybe I do something, create a play, or create a group, create a reading session where I can bring together some actors who are workless, and we can discuss things. And so basically, what matters to me is not waiting, not unnecessarily getting so ambitious and thinking of something and just wasting my time waiting, which because I'm an actor and I'm a trained one, so I know a lot of trained actors who are simply, are we getting lost?
No, you're there.
No?
I can hear you.
Okay. So it matters to me that we should just do, and not, personally, I'm not such a ambitious person. For me, my ambition is doing a work that whenever an audience watches, they feel empowered. They feel that, this is my low phase, and I see her perform, and yeah, there's something about it that is hitting me. So I just don't want to be just a one-off performer and perform just because I need certain amount of money. Thankfully, even on television, the kind of touch wood, the kind of character somehow I'm getting offered in the past couple of years has been something different. And I enjoy, I whenever I go on set, there's something magical when I do that. So doing, and in the process, I always, whenever I say doing, I always remember Gandhiji's Salt March, how he walked and how there were thousands of people walking behind him. So maybe 10 of us do something, and probably work till the end of our lives, and we are creating something and we are showing something to the society, for the society. Also, as an actor, as a theater person, as a storyteller, this is what I want to continue doing.
And now, because we are talking about how much you enjoy the doing part and how important it is to do, what has been your biggest learning in these months that we've been under a lockdown?
Oh, so one ambition that I had discussed with you also was that because our background is of farming. So from my window I can see the farms, I can see the beach. I live on the backside of Malad. So one ambition that I have is I want to have there's a theater residency where I'll have people who are underprivileged who will be coming there and just staying there and doing things. So this has become very, very strong. Probably I'll shift base to slightly, uh, a distant place from Mumbai, but I'll continue to work here. So this is something, I don't know how many years plan this is, but I want to do. This has got reinstated that this four walls cannot contain the kind of probably the thought process that we all have. So this has.
Shruti, what have you been doing in the lockdown and how has that changed how you see your work, or has it not changed how you see your work? Has it been any different for you?
So, Nidhi, right at the beginning of this year to 2020, I had thought of taking a break. So, I think for me, that's the thing. After every few years, I need to take that break. Like 8 years back when I took that pause. So, I feel it's for me, it's a full circle. In 2020, I thought I'll take a break. I made a wish list in the month of January, which happened to be my birthday month. And in that wish list, I had think like spending time with myself, traveling, that never happened. But yeah, traveling, taking it easy, be with my loved ones, cook, take up a hobby. So all of that was on my list. And somehow, obviously, I never wanted a lockdown or a pandemic like this. But it's during this period I was able to fulfill that list. Sorry, yeah, it's come true. It's come true, and now I feel I'm at a position when I'm ready to press that restart, refresh button, and I'm all set to go back to work. And yeah, so that's what it has been. But what during this lockdown, what personally I have discovered is that for the longest time I thought I'm very fond of cooking and cooking is my forte. But it's only in this lockdown I realized it's not the cooking. I cook so that I can plate. So it's the plating that really excites me. And it gives me that somewhere I feel while doing that plating, I feel I'm casting. So my plating is looking good, creative, satisfying, and so perfect. So yeah, so this has been the lockdown for me.
Rucha, tell me about your lockdown and how has it been for you, and what is the epiphany that you've had in this period?
Lockdown is, it's been really tough actually at one level because I'm not a very good homemaker type person. So this cleaning and cooking has been a little disastrous for me. So earlier I used to cook earlier just to de-stress and stuff like that. But this cooking every day now is like a pain in the ass. But the good thing about it though is that I'm getting a lot of time to read, and also I'm a very I'm a little reclusive sometimes. As in, I don't talk too often, but I've spoken to my parents like almost every day. Which is like, this is just not me at all. I mean, I would speak to them once a month. Now I'm speaking to them every day, and this is this has happened to me across. So I'm actually speaking more to people. I'm reading more. I don't have actually too much time to watch too much material on Netflix or Amazon or even movie. But But yeah, I'm spending a lot and I'm working a lot. Like I feel like I need a holiday from the lockdown right now. I mean, it's, you know, and it's like Vipassana, but you have everything. You have books, you have digital, you have your phone, you have. So it's like talking Vipassana. It's a little weird for me. I'm still trying to come to terms with this, and it's a
That
little
what just happened.
unsettling, yeah, unnerving, and also I can't figure out when it's gonna end. So for me, like I'm the kind of person who like to work towards something. I have to work towards that. I have to work towards first day of shoot, or work towards the first cut, or work towards the release date, or work towards any deadline. I don't know what the hell the deadline is now. So I'm like, I'm a little, yeah, I'm still coming to terms with it. No epiphany has struck me yet, Nidhi. Yeah, yeah.
I think Anuradha will give us some words to end this with so that we can all feel that we found something. Come on, Anuradha.
Right. Thanks. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure at all.
Heal us, heal us.
I am. So this is what I want to tell you. So because I've just had time to think about this while you were all talking, and on the fly, so I created a very short three-act narrative on this. So I do want to share this with everybody, and I don't know who all it'll resonate with. So very quickly, because I didn't really get too much into my background. So as a child, and how little of what Nupur was saying when you were directing stuff and all. So as a child, I was in a small town called Gorakhpur. I was the classic tomboy. So I grew up with boys. I was one of the boys. मेरे बचपन का नाम was Ricky. So and वो small town में Ricky बोलते थे. And so I was me as hell. And my poor Bengali mother was very worried because, shaky and, what does she even tell her family? So my education actually started and she was very clever, very resourceful. She got a film fair. I've spoken about this in interviews. She taught me as A for Amitabh uncle, B for Bobby, C for Chintu uncle. I love like this, okay? And the literary journey, famous five and whatever, literature. So I wrote my first poem, I remember in class one, it's called The World Around Me is a Wonderful Thing. So I'll come back to that. You'll understand how this is the hook of this narrative. So, when I look back in retrospect, I would say, to put clever words there, that there was a clear schizophrenia there. I was part Ashok Gaikwad, which is somebody who's known for making the great films, and Arundhati Pai. तो वो अशोक गायकवाड़ अरुंधति राय was very nicely and kind of not in conflict at all, but as tomboy, as Ricky, as one of the
As
boys,
Ricky.
ha, who reached Wellams. Now, oh, ta-ta, very posh, we are to reach out. And honestly, even today, somebody asked me, where are you from? I always say I'm from Wellams because, everything became Wellams. Because, Ricky went away or has been left behind, but it's important how that will feature again. And, whatever else came. And yet, from being a tomboy, you've just been thrown into a girls' school and, boarding school 24/7. So adjusting with the feminine energy, and trust me, it was very difficult at that time because I was like, oh my God, I'm suffocated. I can't date so many girls. Where are the boys? And then that fascination for the boy remained till today. We were just chatting right now about it. So I'll come to that. Okay. And then from there, go to LSR, where you learn to celebrate, feminine energy. We also go, we celebrated, I would say we went beyond obvious feminism. To me, that's LSR, to be
Yes.
able to know
Yes.
her. And as president of Students' Union, I know today I felt responsible for the feminine energy. And like I said, I found I lost my goal right then because till then I was the most sorted and very, crystal clear person. ISC national topper, commerce, BCom, etc. And suddenly I was like, oh, I don't know. And I enjoyed that irresponsibility. So I'm coming to all of this together. And in that irresponsibility, I said, Jo Nupur kar rahi hai, main karungi, Rucha jo kar rahi hai, Hansa. The irony that I was the only one who got through Jamia and I was left, behind alone with nobody to really latch on to. And, but the good thing was that, oh, the men came back. I was finally in co-ed again. So that was amazing. So I think what happened was that, so of course, from there on, I went on to meet Mahesh Par, got my job in day one of, being in Bombay. Rucha was my colleague there. She was in another department. I was there, and so on. Our journeys began. I think what happened just before lockdown, so I'm really zooming forward, is that, and I think that's a function of age and just karma and everything that you work on, for yourself. I think it's a good space for self-expression. What you asked earlier, what matters. It's a good space to be able to amalgamate everything that you are and you feel. So just jumping from moment of LSR to say 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I was in an Arctic village. I also travel a lot, and it's amazing. And I was standing in a Sami village, and it suddenly occurred to me that storytelling is healing. It's a tool of healing, and I know that's what matters to me, because I can amalgamate now being trying to be a psychotherapist. The psychic in me. I do tarot readings, I take intuition, downloads, etc. And the fact that I'm a writer, director, more writer, less director, and mentoring people. All of this came together just before lockdown. Yeah. But I think it's funny now that I look back at it. During lockdown, what happened was that Ricky made, a whole comeback. Something in staying home took me back there. I don't quite remember what it is. Maybe it was message from friends, or it's just some random visual. And I think all of that has come together for me to now actually own up to the fact that I like being a homemaker. So a little of what Rucha is saying, I'm the lady of the house and I'm really enjoying it. So my epiphany is that I think I'm in the reverse gear in ashrams. From Vairagya, I'm coming into Grihast. I'm ready.
Wow.
So essentially, I'm ready to be married and just look at how that even feels. So that's the exploration. So yeah, I'm having a good time.
So I think we are running out of time, but I'll be happy if anybody wants to say anything else. Thank you, and rather that was really cool. Storytelling is healing was the lovely thing that you just said, and I think we've just told so many stories. Maybe
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
some people.
Maybe can you end it with what your revelation of this lockdown?
Oh my
Yes.
God, I didn't prepare anything for myself.
Good one.
I have
Because
realized that
you have your hands
keeping
full
your
with
house
two
clean
kids.
can take every single moment of the day.
Yeah. Oh, so I have to say this. I have to say this.
Completely.
That our mothers have been, at least my mom, who has been a homemaker all her life. And can I just say that that's the most unpaid work ever, ever.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
I cannot, like, by the end of the day, I'm like dying and thinking, oh my God, I have no time to think for myself. I can imagine my mom having gone through all that all her life, and all the women who are, homemakers.
So
It's
Rucha,
insane, man.
Rucha, I'm sharing the lockdown with my parents right now,
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
mother and I are sharing the load, so to
yeah.
speak. And she's still chipper at the end of the day, while
Yes.
I'm like, fading.
Yeah.
I'm fading, and she's just like, she's 69 and going about it like, and she's like, "Itna kaam to nahi hai." I'm like, really? Like, so
Yeah,
I think really I have to admire these women who really, I
yeah,
mean, all our moms, hats off to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Great.
Really
More
hats off to them.
And it's nice. I think it's nice also, not be doing stuff. You're doing stuff only for yourself at this time,
Yeah.
which I think is quite precious as well, because very often you realize that you're doing a lot of things because you're putting stuff out and this and that, and you're conscious of people watching, looking, judging. And this is the time that all
Yeah.
of us have done
But
things which are just
also,
for us.
yeah. But I think
No,
also
but
we've
for,
learned to be
but
slightly kinder to ourselves in a sense. Like
For
I
sure.
find
Yeah.
kinder to ourselves
Yeah.
and to, of course, the world out there.
Yeah.
And specifically for me, I always look for reasons to not write, and now I have no reasons for that. Like now I should be writing. So I mean, like every writer tells me, every pure writer tells me, ki yaar, likhwao mat. Somehow, everyone's looking for a reason to not write. And now there isn't any apart from jhadu, pocha, bartan, and cooking.
no. There's more to it. There's homeschooling. I'm going through homeschooling right now. With these online classes for my daughter. So there's more than jhadu,
Absolutely. Same
pocha,
here.
casting, and there is
Yeah,
homeschooling.
I know,
There's
But
the
Rucha
yeah.
has a
That's
cat. So Rucha's taking care of a cat, which I mean is like another baby, I think.
I have two dogs.
Yeah, luckily I don't have to give her online classes and all.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Okay.
Ladies, now
Yes.
something to end the discussion with. We cannot be talking about the dogs and the cats and
I have
the
to, yeah.
Ladies.
Things
Quickly,
that matter.
I have to run. I have to go for the final mix.
okay, the final two lines, everybody. Come on.
Yes.
Come on, say something. We start with you, Shruti. Come on.
Say about what? Sorry, I lost you.
So it's
I
time
got
to
back
go
to
home.
my own online classes.
No, I think a message to Elsa's watching. I think that's what we should be saying. Yeah.
Yes. So you've got so many people from various batches watching us right now.
Yeah.
Anything that you'd like to say that defines you as a person and defines this time that you've gone through? Anything that you'd like to say?
I would like to only say that I would focus on my profession right now. So I would say that I would want people to take up casting or take up filmmaking only and only because they are passionate about it. So the reason for all of us to come here was to talk about the common thread between all of us is filmmaking. So for me as a casting director, I want people to understand that becoming a casting director is not a stepping stone, and I would want people to be here for the right reasons.
Good. It's a nice one. Rucha.
Actually, I wanted to answer. I think Inakshi has asked a really interesting question where she says, "In what ways did LSR shape you?"
Yes.
I have to say that I was kind of sort of little anti-establishment type in LSR because I thought, like I didn't want to be a part of anything. I just wanted to rebel for no rhyme or reason. But there was something about LSR that made me socially conscious about a lot of things. When we had all the Tibetan students who were fighting for free Tibet,
Yes.
when
Yeah.
I know that reservation was something that at that time we kind of misunderstood the Mandal Commission thing. We misunderstood, but we did take time out to voice and to protest and to. So I think generally in that sense, LSR really uh, brought out some kind of a social conscience in me, and that continued. I think in Sophia's when we joined social communications media. I think somewhere that's how I think LSR shaped me, and also a lot of teamwork.
Yes.
That's something that I really learned in LSR and in college in general. So I think those are important things, especially for today. Especially today, I think all of us are in a fairly privileged position. I think it would really help if all everybody contributed individually or everybody contributed as a group to figure out how we can shape the world really, because that's where we're at right now. We're back at that time where we're going to have to reshape the world.
Yes. LSR, of course, I kind of took it for granted that we'd all have a lot of LSR in us always. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
in everything
I
we
think
do.
that, yeah. I think just to take off from what Rucha said, I think that, for me as a director, LSR was very, very important because I mean, I directed a lot of plays there and I also headed the Dram Soc. And directing is not just about being creative, it's also about people management. So to hone that skill of managing people, egos, insecurities, bringing people together for a common cause. I mean, all those things, one really learned to do that in LSR and find that voice. I mean, so hats off to to the organization, to the institution for allowing that. We had a great head, MG, who sort of, always encouraged us to find our voice. And like Rucha said, we went out and protested for things we thought that were important to us. And, and
Yeah.
that helped us find a voice. We weren't just mute. We weren't just like going to college and just doing, attending the classes and that was the end of it. No, it wasn't. So for that will always be very, very special.
Anything else anybody would like to say, or do
For
we
me,
add?
I feel what Elsa taught me was to not to think about success or failure, just to take
Yes.
that risk. Just
Yes.
go all out, be yourself, whether right or wrong, whether you make it or you break it. I mean, whatever the case may be, just take your chance. Just go ahead and be yourself. I think that's what ELSA taught me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can sum this up for you, Nidhi, if you wish. But as part of, because I think I'm speaking for everyone watching as well as everyone here. I think what's really common to all of us, and that's how we spot an Elsa when we see one. And I've seen that across my career and otherwise. That apart from the fact that all of us are very sensitive to the feminine energy around, despite having a strong masculine in all of us. We're all go getters, we can be competitive, we lead, we can make things happen. But we're very respectful and sensitized to the feminine energy and this sort of girl ghetto in a way, but I mean the world's not a girl ghetto, right? But the fact that we can nurture and respect and be sort of, distant from feminine energy, I think that's what is really the invisible web that keeps us. And I think what's common to us is that we all come from a center of sincerity, respect, and abundance. And often the world misunderstands that. Sometimes people misuse it or whatever. But I think what's amazing is that we retain that sincerity, respect, and abundance, and we more part to us.
Yes, and I would just like to say empathy, which is a very, very important thing which has
I
always
just
been
get
a part of
to
all the LSR years that we've
yes.
always all been there, and we've carried that forward. As in like we've said, all of us have said that we identify an ELSA when we see one because we can see qualities similar to us in and women that we speak to, and the kind of things they do, the kind of lives they touch, the kind of projects they make. It's
Yeah.
because of something that we're all connected with, and that would be LSR. So thank you so much for being here today, and thank you so much for chatting and telling us all these interesting things. There's so many things we're taking home today, and thank you so much, Anu and Gesu, for organizing this. And you want to finish this, Anu or Gesu? Somebody's going to say something, or do we just say bye bye and go away?
Thank you, Nidhi.
Bye is good enough. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Nidhi.
and
Thanks.
Nidhi, thank you very much for doing this. We couldn't have done this without your inputs and
Yeah.
your hosting.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone who joined in, to the panelists. And it was really, really nice reliving our LSR days with you all. Thank you.
Thank
You so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye bye.
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 Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
How do you log out?
I'm trying to.
Just
Just
press
close it.
the after the mute button. There is a switch off, leave call.
Oh, there's a red button.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Bye.
Bye, guys.